Doom 3 is a Doom game, and it's time to end the debate. This take isn't just wrong, it's revisionist history, and it's time to put it to rest. One of the biggest misconceptions fueling this argument is the idea that Doom has always been about nothing but bright, open arenas, relentless speed, and raucous metal music. This is a complete misrepresentation of the original Doom games. Anyone who has actually played Doom and Doom 2 knows that the level design is diverse. Yes, there are plenty of fast-paced battles in open spaces, but there are just as many dark, claustrophobic corridors, dimly lit hallways, flickering lights, and pitch-black rooms where you can hear enemies but can't see them. Some of the game's soundtracks abandon heavy metal entirely in favor of eerie, atmospheric synth tracks that heighten the tension and dread. Let's not forget the specters, the semi-invisible pinky demons that make already dark environments even more terrifying. Anyone who's ever heard that deep guttural growl and had no idea where it was coming from knows just how effective Doom could be at creating fear. And let's talk about survival elements. There are maps where ammo conservation is key, forcing you to switch weapons carefully or risk running dry in the middle of a fight. Doom may not be a full-blown survival horror game, but these moments prove that strategic resource management has always been a part of its DNA. Mechanically, Doom 3 is far closer to the original games than some people give it credit for. Yes, it emphasizes atmosphere and horror more than its predecessors, but it still follows the core tenets of Doom's gameplay. Just like in the originals, you can't rely on cover. You have to keep moving, strafing, and timing your shots to survive. Doom may not be as blisteringly fast as Doom 2016 or Eternal, but it's still a game that rewards mobility. Monster closets and ambushes, this is a classic Doom staple, and Doom 3 embraces it fully. Enemies spawning in behind you? Surprise attacks when you grab an item? That's textbook Doom. Weapon swapping and combat strategy. Just like in the originals, each weapon has a purpose, and knowing when to use what is key. There are no unnecessary upgrade trees, no glory kills. Just a Marine and his guns, dealing with hell the way he always has. The funniest part about this entire debate is that Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal made way more drastic changes to Doom's formula than Doom 3 ever did. Doom may have leaned into horror, but it still retained many of the series' fundamental gameplay mechanics. Meanwhile, Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal introduced major new systems like upgrade mechanics, weapon mods, chainsaw ammo drops, and the glory kill system, all of which significantly altered the way the game is played compared to the originals. And yet, nobody questions whether Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are real Doom games. Why? Because they feel like Doom in spirit, even with their changes. Doom 3 deserves the same respect. Took a different approach, yes, but it never lost sight of what makes Doom Doom. Doom 3 isn't an oddball entry in the series. It's an evolution of what came before, just as Doom 2016 and Eternal evolved the formula in their own way. The idea that it somehow doesn't qualify as a Doom game is nonsense. It shares the same DNA as the classics, even if it chooses to emphasize horror over pure speed. If you don't like Doom 3, that's fine. But let's stop pretending it's some strange offshoot that doesn't belong. Doom 3 is Doom, and it always has been. Doom 3 represented a leap in technology and ambition, with Carmack and the rest of ID Software striving to deliver a Doom experience that combined realistic environments, cutting-edge graphics, and an atmosphere steeped in tension and horror. The idea was always to bring Doom into a more immersive and believable world, and Doom 3 was the closest the team could get to that goal, given the hardware limitations of the early 2000s. What Carmack envisioned for Doom was not just a fast-paced, action-heavy shooter, but a more grounded and atmospheric experience. The setting, a Mars base overrun with demonic forces, was designed to feel like a real, functional place, where the horrors of hell could slowly creep into a familiar environment. Gone were the days of simple, expansive corridors and open arenas. In their place was a tight, claustrophobic environment that focused on a slow buildup of terror. The environments were painstakingly crafted to feel like an actual Mars base, with realistic lighting and detailed textures. This approach to the setting made the invasion of Hell feel even more unsettling. The game's horror elements were an extension of the atmosphere, leveraging the realistic environments to create a sense of isolation and vulnerability for the player. The dimly lit hallways, flickering lights, and eerie sound design all contributed to the feeling that the player was alone in a vast, dangerous place, and the demons weren't just enemies. They were invasive forces slowly overtaking this once mundane world. Carmack's vision also extended to the role of the protagonist. The lone Marine, fighting against an army of demons, became more than just a faceless hero. It was a narrative device that emphasized the isolation of the character. There were no allies to speak of, and the player was truly on their own, fighting to escape an impossible situation. This sense of isolation and the relentless pace of combat were hallmarks of Doom 3's design, where every corner could hide a monster and every room was an opportunity for sudden death. This vision for a more immersive experience wasn't just about tech or gameplay. It was about creating a sense of atmosphere and emotional engagement with the world. The realistic Mars base was not just a setting. It was a character in itself, a place that would react to the horrors of Hell's invasion, making the player feel as though they were navigating through a living, breathing nightmare. Despite Carmack's ambitions, the tech at the time simply couldn't fully bring his vision to life. Doom 3 pushed the boundaries of what was possible on PC hardware, with advanced lighting effects, real-time shadows, and detailed textures that made the world feel immersive. However, these innovations came with trade-offs. The hardware of the early 2000s struggled to keep up with the demands of the game's cutting-edge visuals. While Doom 3 was a technical marvel, it didn't always perform as smoothly as some players hoped, and it sometimes sacrificed the fast-paced action that the franchise was known for in favor of a slower, more methodical pace. This was a necessary compromise, as Carmack and ID Software chose to prioritize atmosphere and realism. However, the limits of the tech meant that Doom 3 didn't always feel like the Doom that fans of the original games were accustomed to. The fast, frantic pace that defined Doom and Doom 2 was replaced by a more deliberate rhythm of tension and horror. Some fans appreciated this shift, while others felt it betrayed the spirit of the franchise. Of course, none of this undermines the brilliance of the original Doom games, especially Doom 1993, which remains a masterpiece in its own right. The first Doom revolutionized gaming by introducing a fast-paced, action-packed experience that was unlike anything that had come before. The game's labyrinthine level design, relentless combat, and iconic soundtrack set the template for an entire genre of first-person shooters. Its legacy is undeniable, and its influence can still be seen in countless modern games. The beauty of Doom 3 lies in how it builds upon the original formula, offering something new while still honoring the essence of what made Doom special. It takes the core elements of the franchise, fast-paced combat, an arsenal of powerful weapons, and a battle against demonic forces, and places them in a more atmospheric, narrative-driven context. It's a different flavor of Doom, but it is no less a Doom game than its predecessors. John Carmack's vision for Doom 3 was a bold and ambitious attempt to evolve the franchise into something more atmospheric and immersive. While the technology of the time limited the extent to which his vision could be realized, Doom 3 still stands as a worthy chapter in the Doom saga. It is a game that honors the spirit of the originals while exploring new territory in terms of atmosphere and narrative. At the same time, the original Doom games, particularly the 1993 classic, remain unmatched in their perfection of the fast-paced, visceral combat and level design that define the series. Both the classic Doom and Doom 3 are integral parts of the franchise's legacy, each representing a different vision of what Doom can be, but both carrying the unmistakable DNA that makes the franchise one of the most enduring in gaming history. In the end, Doom 3 was a necessary evolution, a moment in time where ID Software reached for something new, and while it may not have fully realized its creator's vision, it still succeeded in many ways. It's Doom, just a different, more haunting kind of Doom.